Magic 103 presents Three Peeps in a Pod, a weekly podcast taking an in-depth look at the topics you care about. Hear new perspectives and conflicting opinions during this week's Three Peeps in a Pod on Magic 103.
Welcome to Three Peeps in a Pod. I'm your host, Sarah Wolfe. This week, we're talking about classical music. Do you think it should be made more accessible to the everyday person? Accessibility could look like lower ticket costs, less intimidating concert venues, orchestras playing more popular music, or other kinds of changes. Surprisingly, not everyone thinks we should make classical music more accessible. This should be an interesting topic to hear about from both sides of the issue.
Three Peeps in a Pod on Magic 103 looks at classical music and the possible need for it to be made more accessible. Here's Sarah Wolfe with this week's recap.
Typically, classical music has had a specific type of audience. Older people who are in the upper class and who already appreciate the style of music. This means that not all people are able to access or appreciate classical music. In the classical music scene, there are musicians who see the good in sticking with the music and audiences they already have, and those who see the benefit of providing more popular music to a diverse crowd. This is something we are challenging today as we discuss if classical music should be made more accessible. I'm joined by my expert, John Sellick, a viola player in the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. He has a unique perspective on this issue from his years of experience as a classical musician.
What experience do you have in the classical music world?
My experience in the classical music world is, I guess I am a symphony musician for a living. I grew up playing violin and viola for my whole childhood, and then I went and got a couple of degrees in viola performance, and now I play for a living.
So lots of experience. Do you think classical music is for everybody?
Oh, definitely. Of course. I think classical music probably has a well-earned reputation for being snobby or a little hoity-toity or inaccessible. I think it's done a lot of things right, and I think it is accessible for a lot of people, but for many people, they think it's either too expensive or too boring or too, dusty to get into.
So you obviously then think maybe we should make it more accessible. In what ways do you think that could happen that would be good?
Music that might be more accessible, might be more appealing to a wider audience. In a week or two, we're playing a concert here of all Studio Ghibli music, and I think that brings in, a completely different audience than what we normally get at the hall. Lots of shows where we have, for example, we're doing some pop shows next week. We're doing the music of Phil Collins with a live band, which will be great. And the other ones that are really popular these days are the films with live score, which I've attended myself. And I think it totally brings both the film and the orchestra music to life in ways that those two things on their own can't do. And I think it's both extremely entertaining product and also a great way to introduce maybe a non-symphony going audience to how amazing an orchestra can look and sound live. So there's, progress being made as far as making, the orchestra or classical music in general more accessible, but there's definitely lots of room to improve still.
Do you think there's any way that playing Phil Collins or Studio Ghibli, that the value of what it is, how much effort you've put into it, all those things, does it kind of take that away?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, I play the viola, which is, typically not an instrument that plays a lot of melody. And if we do, a Taylor Swift concert, the music is fun, but we're playing music at a high schooler could sight read probably. And so it feels like you're, not being used to the fullest of your abilities. It's easy to kind of cut an attitude about, I didn't go to school to learn how to play, Chapel Roan music or whatever. But I love what I do and I want to do it for a long time. And so if playing Taylor Swift shows is one of the things that's necessary for keeping my job in existence, then I'm happy to do it.
All right, John. So thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Three Peeps in a Pod on Magic 103. Sarah Wolfe leads the roundtable discussion on if classical music should be made more accessible with Jamie Oulette and Tim Rivero.
Welcome to the roundtable here on Three Peeps in a Pod. I'm Sarah Wolfe, and I'm joined by Jamie Oulette and Tim Rivero to discuss if classical music should be made more accessible. I'm looking forward to an interesting and lively conversation. Thanks for joining me, guys. Jamie, we'll start with you. What experience do you have listening to or playing music?
Well, I actually spent 10 years in the Bands of Calgary program through all the way from Roundup Band all the way up to the Stampede Show Band. And we played a mix of some pop music, especially for the parades. There's a lot of pop music getting played. And then for the actual performances when we were out on the field, that was all usually more classical style music. One of the favorite things, and I still can't listen to the song without crying, was Jupiter. And that one always gets me every time. I cannot remember the conductor for that one off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's my experience. Is I've played it for about 10 years. I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree in technical theater. So I have worked with some different symphonies and stuff like that as a tech and as a roadie. Recently, I haven't been performing much. And I haven't been actually going out too much, but, it's college life for you.
And what about you, Tim? What experience do you have?
Well, I've been a musician for over 15 years. I'm mainly a guitar and bass player. I took classical piano lessons as a kid, but clearly it never stuck with me. It's because I'm a guitar player now. I've been playing that ever since. But I still do delve into the piano every once in a while.
Nice. So you're both experienced musicians. What benefits do you think classical music has?
Well, it has been scientifically proven that classical music actually does have some health benefits like improved cognitive function, reduced stress, and in general, it's just nice to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm a college student, and I'm always thinking with my wallet when it comes down to the end. And when was the last time you heard a classic song on the radio? When was the last time you think anybody writing an orchestra ever made a dime? I hate to be the jaded old man already, but like Tim's point with the classical music being health benefits and stuff like that, I'm sure you can get the exact same thing by listening to Kashmir or something like that, which does have a very classical music vibe, but they've also updated it. And I think that's just kind of how it's going right now. Is if you want to make any money, you just can't do this classical music stuff anymore.
So do you think classical music should be made more accessible? Like, should it be cheaper? Should the orchestra play songs that people understand?
I think so, yeah. I think classical music in comparison to mainstream music is such an underrated genre, especially to the younger generation. And one of the factors I believe that makes it less accessible to people is the high prices to see an actual professional orchestra. So I think that should definitely be a factor that should be looked at by orchestra companies or whoever's in charge of that. I think one genre that could absolutely make classical music more accessible is more orchestras playing concerts with music from movies and games, because I think that music in those forms of media, especially games, are kind of lost because not everybody enjoys that form of interactive media.
I mean, going to your point with it being not accessible, if you have a 50-person classical orchestra, if you have a 20-person classical orchestra, those are 50 professionals who have spent a lot of time and a lot of effort learning this obscure instrument, and that no one wants to go pay money to go. So you're going to end up paying these people all of this money that they probably deserve for the amount of time and effort that they put into it. And that's why you're seeing concert tickets for like $200 for some of these things, because you have to pay 50 different experts on this. And then towards the video game part, I like that idea because especially a lot more of these video games are getting a little more poppy in there as well. So you could have a little bit of the more classical style, but you don't need a 50-piece orchestra anymore. Like, I don't think you need a live harpist.
Do you think that making it more accessible would devalue it?
Yeah. If you have to lower down the prices and if you have to hire, not the very best orchestra because, you can't have the tickets so high, so you can't afford to hire professionals. If you make it more accessible that way, it's going to lower the actual production. And for the few people that are probably still going to these symphonies, they want that, full bougie experience, the nightgowns, the suits, the ties. As soon as you start letting any Joe Blow in there to get an $8 beer or whatever, it's going to ruin the whole activity. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because you want more people to show up, but then you also want to keep the high-paying people that are going there as well.
What about you, Tim?
I don't know if it would necessarily devalue it. I don't think that different genres of music really have a more perceived value over others because at the end of the day, everybody's tastes are different. And if anything, I think it would make it more valued because with it being more accessible, more people would be able to enjoy it.
And lastly, do you think your family and friends would attend a symphony if it was made more accessible?
Yeah, I think they would. I have a lot of friends and family that are very much music oriented. And my parents would definitely enjoy classical concerts if they were made more accessible.
I don't know. I think the time for the big, huge orchestra has passed.
Thanks, guys, for your opinions.
This is Three Peeps in a Pod on Magic 103. Listen as Sarah Wolfe shares her own opinion on if classical music should be made more accessible.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests on this podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of SAIT, its staff, or Magic 103.
I enjoy and value all kinds of music, especially classical, but for most people, it can be hard to access or appreciate. As a musician, I value music because I know how it feels to play it. When I play my instrument, my anger or sadness is expressed, and I can let some things go. When I listen to music, I feel the emotions that the musicians are communicating, and that also helps me let things go. Music making you feel emotions is a universal experience. Most people have a song they listen to when they're happy, or they play when they're sad. Classical music can make you feel those emotions with a depth and beauty that other kinds of music tend to lack. Take, for example, the song Clair de Lune. That song will make you feel nostalgia and sadness. The happier tone at the beginning of the song shifts to sorrow with just a swell of volume and a change to a minor key. If you take a moment to close your eyes and listen to Clair de Lune, it can take you on a trip down memory lane that will probably end in tears. I believe that giving everyone access to moments like those can be life-changing. So yes, classical music should be made more accessible. Orchestras could play shorter songs or mix pop songs into a concert. Tickets could be discounted, or the general vibe of going to the symphony could be made more casual. But I think more people would access classical music if they experienced the beauty of it for themselves. If we all slow down and take a quiet moment to truly listen to classical music, we would feel the emotions it's expressing. I suggest that you take a moment to close your eyes and listen to Clair de Lune. Let the song take you on a journey and feel whatever emotions it makes you go through. And then go looking for more classical songs to experience. The world would be a more peaceful and joyful place if everyone were able to attend a symphony or enjoy a quiet moment at home with a classical song. There are a lot of opinions about classical music and its place in our lives. Making it more accessible isn't necessarily what everyone wants or what would benefit all people in the same way. As we learned from John Sellick, there are a lot of things that an orchestra needs to consider when they put on a concert. Just playing popular music or just lowering ticket prices isn't going to solve the issue. If classical music is something near and dear to your heart, you probably would like everyone to experience it, but you may not be aware of the cost or the effect that it'll have on the classical music scene.
You've been listening to Three Peeps in a Pod on Magic 103, asking if classical music should be made more accessible to the everyday person.
I'd like to thank my expert, viola player John Sellick. Also, thanks to Jamie and Tim for joining me in discussing classical music. And thanks to you for listening. Tune in next week when we cover a new and informative topic.
Three Peeps in a Pod is a weekly podcast that takes on the issues you care about. We cover everything from entertainment and sports to the current events important to you. Join us next week for a new Three Peeps in a Pod on Magic 103.